Welcome back, Gems, to another wonderful episode of the Grateful Gem podcast. I'm your host, Jasmine Shannelle, and today's topic is going to be manifesting. Stick around because gems are definitely about to be dropped and you do not want to miss out. So get ready. I need everyone listening to this podcast episode to follow us on Instagram at the Grateful Gem Pod and also follow me at Jasmine Shannelle. Don't worry, I spelled everything out and left it in the notes below. Take a look. See you there. Now let's get into this episode. Gems, oh my God, I'm so excited for you guys today because I have a great message and I do not doubt it at all. I really hope that it's something that you guys have been looking for. I pray that it gives you confirmation in areas of your life where you have been questioning yourself and maybe even questioning God if we're being honest. Before I get into this episode, I want to talk about the live episode that I had last weekend. First of all, I want to say again, thank you. If you follow me on Instagram, if you follow the podcast on Instagram, it was awesome. We had a great time. It was me and three other panelists on the panels, and we were talking about relationships. I'm also going to record that episode and post it for not this week, but next week so that you guys can hear it. It's going to be the list part 2. We're actually going to be doing another live because some of our lives got cut off and we got deep into a lot of questions, and I think a lot of people need to hear these questions. So I definitely am going to be scheduling another live, and I will keep you guys posted. Again, if you are not following the Grateful Gem on Instagram, please go follow us, check us out. And also, we are now on Facebook, so that for my followers and listeners who have Facebook, you now can stay in the know with the Grateful Gem as well. I've created a page. You can follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, Jasmine Graham. It's my Facebook name. Jasmine Shannelle is Instagram. So yeah, I got that disclaimer out the way. But yes, I just want to say thank you. It was a great turnout. I wasn't expecting all those people. People were engaging. People were commenting. It was awesome. It was a great experience. When we got shut down, my friend was like, let's get back on there. We wait. The people waiting. But we had a great time. And I just want to say thank you because if it wasn't for you guys, I would not have been able to accomplish that. I would not have had the courage. Special shout out to my homegirl, my business partner, my accountability partner. She talked to me through this whole process about lives, and I've been telling her, like, I cannot go live. I hate it. And it was literally what I had to do was close my eyes and imagine myself sitting here recording to you guys. I can't see you guys. You can't see me, but I'm literally moving my hands. I'm literally writing stuff down. I'm on my laptop. I'm engaging with the air. And so that's just what I did when I was recording the live. So definitely check out the next one. I'll post it and let you guys know when that's going to be. And I'll also put it in one of the episodes. I was going to say episode. I'll put it in one of the episodes when we have an official date of when we're going to do the next part. Because I think the questions that we had from that part that got deleted is very key. A lot of those things hit me hard dead in the center because I struggle with those things. And I think there's a lot of millennials out there who have those same problems. So anyways, enough about that soapbox. Today we're going to be switching the topic up a little bit, not talking about relationships, but talking about manifesting. Of course, I know you already heard that in the introduction, but I just wanted to remind you. So, crazy thing, I was talking to a longtime friend today. I haven't talked to her in God knows how long. We didn't really fall out. Anything happened. Life happened to both of us. She has kids. She has a husband. I moved to Atlanta. In Atlanta, we kept in touch as much as we could. And everybody forgets, like, I'm back in Jacksonville now. People think, like, are you still in Atlanta? But she called me today, and we were talking about, having faith and walking with God. And she reminded me of something. She reminded me that we started this spiritual walk together. Literally, we went to the church that we joined. I'm a member there. She's a member there. I go to the Southside location. She goes to the Orange Park location, if you're familiar with Jacksonville. But yeah, we joined the church. Her family is a part of that church. I'm a part of the church. I love that church. We gave our life to Christ and decided, hey, we're going to live the God first life. That is our slogan for our church. And that's also, again, another reason why I fully decided last year to live the God first life. Not only to say that, but to actually live it. And so in this, we talked about how it took us years to get in this spiritual realm that we're in, and we're still, even though we started on the same path, we're in two different directions. And I thought that was awesome because literally, as I was walking to my desk to sit down to record this episode, she called me. And so I feel like that was just not a coincidence, because you guys know I do not believe in coincidences. I want to make a shirt that says that there's no such thing as coincidences. Let me know if y'all want to see those shirts. I think it'll be good. But yeah, so I was like, wow, this is crazy. I haven't talked to her in God knows how long. So we were talking, and that just kind of flowed. And I was like, wow, this is confirmation, because I was laying down watching Girlfriends before this. And before that, I was playing my video game and I was listening to a sermon. I said, well, let me turn on my sermon and see, what's out there in the word today. And I picked up on Dr. Darius Daniels. He has a new series that he's doing called Insecure. And he talked about how, we're out here living our best life, manifesting our dreams. And he said that, sometimes we forget that in manifesting the life that we want, it doesn't align with the life that God has for us. And I was like, literally sitting there clapping my hands. And I was just like, this is what I've been saying this whole time. I literally had this conversation with my friends, my sister, my accountability partner. I've talked about this a lot of times, and I think that it's a lot of fluff. And that's why in the last episode you hear me talking about this stuff that I'm recording is not meditated. This is stuff that's on the spot. God led to me on my heart. In this instance, I have confirmation that this is what I'm supposed to be talking about. I wanted to talk about it sooner, but God pushed it out for today, so here it is. But I just feel like there's so much fluff in the world, and despite everything else that's going on, we don't need another reason to just not have hope in 2020. And so I think it's really crazy how people are just basically saying in so many words like, oh, I gave my life to Christ, or I'm believing in God and I'm manifesting my dreams. And people are defining manifestation as some kind of, not even miracle, but as some kind of magic trick, sort of say. So it's basically saying that you can manifest the life that you want. And when you think about that, you have to really go back to the word and figure out what it is that God says about your life. God says he knows the plans that he has for you before you were formed in your mother's womb. So who are you to get in your mama's womb, come out and make plans for yourself? Think about that, because a lot of people, people just get so blinded by celebrity and influencers and things of that nature. People that have hit viral and came up, those things were destined for them. And I'm not saying that greatness isn't destined for you, because it definitely is, but the way that you're going to have to get there is going to look different from the way that another person got there. I had a conversation with my sister the other day, and I was talking to her about, if you're familiar with B. Simone, I was talking about B. Simone. She had the Road to a Million tour, not tour, but journey. And she has a book out called Manifesting the Life You Want, Manifesting Your Dreams. And so, I definitely think that what she's doing is awesome, but I feel like the message that's being put out is kind of being reverted. And maybe it's not her intention to have that. She's just trying to let you guys in on her journey. But I feel like a lot of people is taking that and putting it into the wrong perspective, because they are forgetting what it is that God says about our life. Because at the end of the day, the way that she did it is not going to be the way that you're going to do it, not the way that I'm going to do it, not the way that this person is going to do it, because that's the life that God has paid for her. God already knew she was going to go on this journey before she went on it, because the Bible says, it's written in word. This is not stuff that I'm just making up. God says that he knows the plans he has for you. Keyword, he has, not the plans that you have for yourself. Let me tell you, like I told you guys previously in many of episodes, that I did things my way and God allowed me to do those things. But at the end, it's just a detour. You're taking the scenic route to get where God was going to lead you in the first place. So why go on a highway when you can take a back road and get there faster? Because God's going to allow you to do the things that he's called you to do. You can manifest anything that's within the lines of what God has for you. And don't get me wrong, because you can still manifest a business, and that take for instance, if you're familiar with the Blessed and Bossed Up podcast host, Tatum Temia, she started her podcast with her and another young lady, and the Lord told her to shut it down after she had already got successful, after she was making money. She was very high up before she changed over and did it solo. That's a prime example right then and there that, yeah, this was her plan. She went with it and she manifested it. And what did God do? God reminded her that at the end of the day, I know the plans that I have for you before you were created in your womb. So this is good and all. This is cool, but I need you to come back to me. I need you to put what it is that you're doing, not even put it on pause. I need you to throw it away. And I need you to start over. And that's literally what she did. And if you don't believe me, I will link her podcast episode in the notes. You can go listen to her podcast when she talks about how God told her to start over from scratch because he had greater plans for her. And a lot of us sometimes we get insecure in our plans. We get insecure in our business. We get insecure in our relationships because we're looking at other people's walk. And when people say, "Oh, you have to stay in your lane and you have to mind the business that pays you," that is the God honest truth. You have to start taking things literal and remember that at the end of the day, what's for somebody else is not for you. So it's good to be able to watch and sit back and analyze and create a plan and take that plan and ask God, God, is this what you want me to do? Is this how you want me to go about it? And not even to bring up anybody else's story, but let's just talk about me, for instance. So in 2015, I took a trip to Atlanta. 2015, I took a trip to Atlanta. And I decided that I wanted to move to Atlanta because it just felt like home. I loved it. It was just no other experience. So I get home, I'm praying about it. I prayed for a year about this, you guys. I prayed about it, I fasted. God made it happen. I saved $6,000 and I applied for my apartment, got approved. My deposit was $100 in a great neighborhood out there in Alpharetta. Um, I was working at Macy's. I had several jobs out there trying to make it, honestly. I didn't think that I wasn't going to be able to find a great job, but I always had a job and I was making money to where I could pay bills. It was hard. I can tell you that it was hard. There was sometimes I didn't know how it was going to happen. I almost came close to an eviction because the money that I was making at Macy's wasn't good enough. My $6,000 was gone by March of that next year. And so I was stressed, I was crying, I didn't know, and at the nick of the time, God saved my life. And when it was time to renew my lease, God told me that He did not want me to renew my lease. He wanted me to come back to Jacksonville. I prayed about it because I was like, okay, God, maybe I heard you wrong. And I had so many questions. I sat there and I asked God, well, God, if you never wanted me to come here, why would you allow me to save all this money and waste my time? Why would you allow me to do all of these things, get here and get so comfortable, and now I have to leave? You can't be serious. I've only been here for a year. I'm not ready to go back. I don't want to go back. And let me be real with you guys. Till this day, in 2020, I moved back in 2018. I have been thinking about Atlanta every day. I sit here and sometimes try to come up with a plan to get back there. And now I finally realize that that's what I wanted. Did I manifest that? Yes, I said that's what I was going to do. I wanted to move to Atlanta, and that's what I did. God helped me get that done. God let me save $4,000 in 2 months, you guys. $4,000. I worked 2 jobs. I got the second job in the nick of time. Literally, I worked that job for a month. No, I'm lying. I worked that job. I started in July. I worked, yeah, for a month and a half because I quit that next month and I moved to Atlanta in September. I saved $4,000. I moved up there, applied for some credit cards. I had a plan, and everything in my book should have worked because I planned, I prayed, God, you conveyed, you came through, you manifested it, you helped me get it, I got it, and then now it's time for me to let it go. And in this process, it was hard because I was talking to one of my guy friends, one of my ex-boyfriends a long time ago, and we were talking and he was asking me, how did I like Atlanta? And I was telling him, I love it. I have people that's from Georgia, but I just feel so at home in Atlanta. And I'm like, everybody's like, oh, everybody just moves up and gets up and goes to Atlanta. But it was deeper than that. It was a sense of peace for me. I didn't have my family there. I was alone, literally. I didn't know anybody in Atlanta. I made a lot of friends there, people that I still talk to this day. Great people, older women. Like I said, you guys, some of my friends are a lot older than me. But I met a lot of people and I felt at home. I was never alone, even though it was me by myself. I literally stayed by myself. I didn't know anybody there until I started working and started meeting friends. And I loved it. I worked at a car dealership, and it was crazy because when I got a job, maybe what in February. Yeah, I got a job at a dealership, and that's what I used to do here. I used to work as a cashier and in the accounting department in Jackson. I've worked at a lot of dealerships. Hannity Company, if you're familiar with those, I've worked probably at almost 4 or 5 of those dealerships, and I was a lead cashier there. Make good money. Subaru, I used to make my own hours, so my checks used to be bank. Okay, so I went back to doing that in Duluth, Georgia. That's a metro in Atlanta. And I was like, this is it. God, you got me. I got a good job now. And I'm not leaving. And 2 months before it was time for me to move, I got a phone call. And I decided right then and there that it was time for me to come back because I had things and people that needed me. So I hesitantly, I wasn't fighting it. I wasn't fighting it. I know that God told me to do it. So I just couldn't help but think, okay, I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. Atlanta will be here. I will be back. And it's been 3 years and I'm not going back. God has revealed to me that that's not where he wants me. He allowed me to go. He allowed me to have that experience, and that was that. Um, every time I pray, like even with this year, I prayed about it. I was like, God, should I renew my lease here or should I be saving to move back to Atlanta? And every time someone asks me, are you in Atlanta or are you in Jacksonville? I get so emotional, you guys, because my heart was there. My heart is still there. I love that place. And it wasn't just about, oh, this is a poppin' city. It was about the fact that I felt that I could really be myself. I didn't have not a care in the world. It was easy breezy, beautiful cover girl in Atlanta for me. And I think it was more so a escape. I can't talk as always, but it was more so an escape of my reality because here I have all my family. They're draining. Me and my grandmother, I love her to death, but sometimes I can just be like, listen, I don't have time for this. Um, my mom, it's just a lot. Family, friends, not even the least my ex-boyfriend. It was just a lot. So to get away from all of that, to be in another city and just have to hear a call away was fine with me because there's nothing I can do. I don't have to leave my house to come save you. I don't have to do anything but pick up the phone. And if I don't want to pick up the phone, you can't come knock on my door and say, why are you not answering the phone? So Atlanta was my peace place. That was my safe haven. And when I had to leave, it was bittersweet. My ex-boyfriend, he didn't understand why I was doing that. He was like, no, forget the people that need you. You need yourself. Stay. Don't worry about them. And I was like, that's not the person I am, dude. Like, I can't do that. Especially knowing that God has told me to move. Like, so you're literally sitting here telling me to obviously, to disobey God. And I'm supposed to be content with that? I was like, no, that's not going to work. So I packed up and moved back. And let me tell you guys, when I moved back, it was hard, okay? I struggled. I cried all the time. Nobody knew this. I cried all the time. I lived with my best friend. And to be honest with you guys, I hated it because I hate having to be reminded of my past. And living with my best friend, even though I was grateful and I was in a space where I understood that this is what I had to do in order to get back to where I just came from. So I was willing to do that because I've done it before. I can do it again. But I told myself that I was not working another 3 jobs at one time because that has been the story of my life forever. I told myself that I was never going to have to move back in with someone because God would financially allow me to be financially set to where I could depend on Him and me alone to do what it is I need to do in my finances. And I got that freedom when I was in Atlanta, and to have to come back and be helpless it was hard for me. Like I said, I'm grateful that she opened her doors up to me, and but for me, I hated it. I cried all the time. I stayed in the room all the time, and it was because I was journaling. I was praying, trying to figure out, okay, God, am I going back to Atlanta? What can I do? Literally, I have journals where Atlanta. Literally, like not even too long ago, months ago, I was praying, fasting for God to give me a sign that I would be going back to Atlanta. And God revealed, it's not happening, Jasmine. I'm not doing it. I let you go. You got that experience. Now we have to get serious. And so when I sit here and I think about how people are putting this mantra out of I manifested my dreams, that's a bunch of bullcrap. I mean, let's just be serious. I hate it because you have people thinking that it's just easy breezy to sit here and manifest a lot that they want. Oh, you want a husband, you want this, you want that, you pray for it. At the end of the day, let me tell you, I planned my life out. I was going to have twins. I was going to be married by 25. I was going to be owning my own business and successful in my business. None of that stuff has happened except I have a business and I'm not successful in it financially the way that I would like to be if we're being honest. And it really upsets me because and people don't understand why people hate religion. It's not the religion that you're mad at. It's the people that cling to religion that you should be upset with, because people are out here putting out false mantras. Oh, I gave my life to God and I'm fasting with God and God's provided and God's doing this. Not saying that that's not true, because it is. Because like I said, God allowed me to go to Atlanta. God made it happen. 2 months. I saved $4,000 in 2 months. And I had a total of $6,000 and 3 credit. I had a credit card with every credit company. Okay, so that's how God worked. I got to clear everything off my credit. My credit was almost 800. I was in the high sevens. God made it happen for me. And you know what God also did? He revealed to me that, okay, we've had enough of this. It's time to go. Pack your things literally and let's go. And so I had to come back to a season of sadness, a season of defeat, because I felt defeated because the place that I was trying to escape was looking me dead in my face. I came back. I worked 3 jobs. I worked overnight at what did I work overnight at? I worked overnight at Racetrack. I worked part-time 1 to 2, 3 days at Davis Bridal, and I worked at ERC. I worked at ADT for a month. Where else did I work? I worked a lot of places, man. And I was like, I told myself I was never doing this again because I knew how it felt when I did it the first time. I was like, I'm tired of having a slave. I'm tired of having to keep working these penny pinching jobs to make a living for myself. I'm just quite frankly tired of it. And I think it's if you can hear my voice right now, I am really just it pisses me off because you give this false hope to people. And at the end of the day, not saying that God is not going to bless you, but don't expect him to bless you in the way that you see fit. Because like I told you guys in the last episode, our ways are not God's ways. So when God's telling you to move or to let something go, you have to trust that he's telling you the right thing to do. And when it's hard for you to do that, you continue to be rebellious and you continue to disobey what God's saying. And don't get me wrong, God's going to let you do it for a certain amount of time. And when he comes down and something drastic happens where you have to let whatever it is go, and now you're sitting here hurt, you have pain because you weren't able to let it go. And so I think that for people to sit here and say, oh, I manifested and I prayed to God and told him what I wanted, he gave it to me. No, if you got those things through prayer, that's because God had that already planned for you. And he gave you the willpower and the strength and the mindset to get that thing done. And think about it, with B. Simone, you have a platform now. You're on TV, you're doing comedy, you have income, you have good people around you that's willing to support you. You have fans and people that look up to you. So, of course, this journey, you did this at the right time, at the right place. Imagine had she done this road to a million before all of this happened. Do you seriously think that she would have hit 1 million? If it wasn't God playing, yes. But a regular average person that doesn't have those connects, that doesn't have the mindset, not even the connects, forget the people, forget the platforms. If you don't have the right strategy and it's not your time, because what if she would have done this a few years earlier and she didn't manifest that 1 million? That would have seriously took a turn for her career. And it probably would have made her try harder. She probably would have kept doing it until she got it. And that would have been her living a living testimony. And I think that a lot of times we forget about behind the scenes. We think that it's so easy to just wake up. Oh, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to get a logo. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get merchandise. And then you have all this stuff in your house and you're not selling it because you don't have a sales strategy. You don't know what it is that you're doing, and you're like, oh, well, this person did it and that person did it, but you're not thinking rational. So, and then it's like, well, why did God do this? Why did God? And it's like, no. And I think it's crazy. Like, not even talking about business. Let's get real. Let's get real personal. With my relationship, you guys, if we being honest, I feel like I can be honest with you guys. So let me tell you guys, I 100% was willing to fight for my relationship. Okay, I was 100% willing to work it out with my ex-boyfriend because I love him, because I felt like, yeah, we got our problems, but we can work it, because I seen people do it. God does it. Okay, God does it for people. I've seen God bless people, um, turn their relationship into something that they never thought could happen. So I was believing that for us, to be honest. And God was like, nah, nah, sis, I'm not doing that. And I was, to be honest with you guys, I was heartbroken. I was hurting 5 years with this man that I've grown to love, that I've known like the back of my hand, that I just think about, see, everywhere I go, he's there, because he's been everywhere with me. So it's hard to let that go. But when you know that God has a greater plan, when you know that God has a greater outcome, you have to trust what it is that God's saying. And that's why when I hear stuff like, oh, you can pay the life that you want, that's not true. And it upsets me because, like I said, on a personal level, me personally, if it's not in the will of alignment with God, you can do whatever you want to do. But if it doesn't align with God's plan, it's not going to continue to stay in your life. Think about the kings in the Bible, where God let them be king. What was it, Saul? And you got king but no power. And then you had, in the nick of the day, someone came and took that power away from you. Because yeah, you're a king, but God said you missed your time, you missed your calling. You disobeyed me. You didn't pay attention to what it is. You did. He told him to wait. He told him to wait for him. Wait for him to get notification to sacrifice. And what did he do? Oh, you were waiting too long, so I went ahead and sacrificed him on my own. I think that was Saul. Yeah, that was Saul. If it's not, you guys, y'all will correct me. I'm not a Bible scholar. But I remember that story where he sacrificed or sent up a ransom before it was time. And the person, he's supposed to wait for a person to come. And after the person comes, he was like, what have you done? Do you not know what you have done? And he told him that, oh, God was taking too long. You took too long. So I went ahead and did it. And you messed up the whole plan. And so I think that for me, it's just hard to sit here and just watch this go by, because I feel like it's a bunch of fluff. And I feel like people aren't being 100% genuinely authentic about the road to success. And at the end of the day, you can manifest things through God, but you can manifest what it is that He aligns with your life. Because when you get in a position where you're manifesting your plans, God's going to grant you those. But let me tell you, it's not going to last. Because He's going to have a point where He gets up and He says, enough is enough, and I need you to do what it is that I called you to do. It's like Darius Daniels. He's like, I want to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't want to be up here preaching. I don't know nothing about pastoring. He was like, and don't tempt me, because every day I think about being a lawyer. He said, I can kill it. He was like, when I was in high school, I played basketball. I killed it, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be a lawyer. He said, and when I went to school, you think I wanted to be going to scholar school? I wanted to go to law school. But God told me that this is what you have to do. And He says you have to be confident enough to take your wants and put them on the altar, because they have a way of creeping back on you. And I tell you guys, that hit me deep in my heart, because every day, if we're being real, every day I think about Atlanta. Are you loving this episode? Great. Don't forget to leave your feedback by rating and leaving a review on Apple iTunes. Also, don't forget to subscribe anywhere, wherever you're listening to this podcast. And make sure that you follow us on Instagram to keep up in the know of what's going on with the podcast. Okay, let's get back to the episode. And every day I think about this relationship. I think about what I could have done differently. Was it my fault? Could I have been this way? Could he have been this way? And to be honest with you guys, it sucks. Because the very thing that you want God says you have to trust me enough to know that I'm doing you the best thing that you could ever do for yourself. And one day I'll be able to sit here and say either God brought me a better man than my dreams could ever imagine, or that God turned this man around and he's a better man than I could ever imagine. I don't know what the story looks like because I'm not a psychic and I can't look into the future. And sometimes I sit here and I wonder, will my story change about Atlanta? Will I be able to go to Atlanta one day? But right now, it's no. And because it's delayed doesn't mean it's fully denied, but it could be. So you have to prepare yourself for that moment where you decide if you're going to plan your life or if you're going to let God steer your life for you. Because either way, it's going to end up the way He wanted it to end up anyway. And I'm just like, I literally was listening to that episode and I was like, yeah, it's time to go ahead and talk about this because it's like a slap in the face because it makes you feel like everything that you've heard, everything that you've went through, and it's like, here you got somebody telling you, you can manifest your life. And it's like, well, if I can manifest my life, why didn't this relationship work? If I can manifest my life, why is my businesses still not where I want them to be? If I can manifest my life, why am I still working for another company? Why am I not working for myself? If I can manifest these things, don't get me wrong, because hard work and dedication will pay off. But to sit here and say that I have 100% calling and nature of my life, that's not true. Like I told you guys, I'm not pulling this out of my behind. This is literally written in the Bible. God has plans for all of us. You may want to be a doctor, but God may be calling you to be the next pastor. You may want to be married to a football player and not have to ever work in life, but you could be the CEO of a non-profit organization. Or you could be the best customer care service representative there is. I don't know. And honestly, you don't know either, unless God has revealed that to you. And maybe He has revealed it to you, and you have to ask yourself, am I open enough to hear God when He speaks to me? Am I hearing Him, and am I hearing Him correctly? Because like I said on the last episode, for instance, let's just talk about that. I didn't want to have to sit up here and dedicate 90% of my life to praying for somebody else and making sure that they're okay when I'm not okay. I mean, let's just be real. Like, I want to let you guys know how deep this goes. It's more than what meets the eye. And that's literally what I told my friend when we were on the phone. I told her, I said, it pisses me off to know that people are so ignorant. And she was like, no, Jasmine, no. She's like, no, people don't understand. She was like, we started this walk together. And she said, there's moments where I don't know how I do it. Let me tell you, this lady has a great job, has a beautiful house, a husband, beautiful kids, family, a mom and dad. She revealed to me that she bought a house for her mom and dad. That's awesome. And she's like, you're right. You don't know something unless you're looking at the core. She's like, it's past what you see. She was like, because every day I'm fighting for me. And I say, yes, this is what I'm saying. And she was like, you think that I would sit here and want to go through this? You think I would sit here and want to go through so much hurt, not knowing who I am this day and next, and not knowing how tomorrow's going to be? If you can really manifest your life the way that these people and higher influences and things like that are trying to portray, do you really think that any of us would experience pain? Any of us would experience hurt? No, because if it was up to me, I would manifest my life with 100% of happiness. Like, let's just be real. And I was talking to her, and I'm just like, man, this it's waking up my ass. I'm wheezing. But it hurts me because I'm like, I don't want people to think that it's just a matter of, yes, I give my life to Christ and now my life is going to be easier. Because as I tell you guys every episode, I do not ever want to put it out there that saying yes to God is an easy call, because it's not. One day you're up, one day you're down, the next minute you can hear God, the next minute you can't hear God. Literally, this was the story of my life. It still is the story of my life. God's ways are not our ways, people. So make sure that you are paying attention and you're listening to what it is that God is telling you to do with your life. Of course, be happy for other people. I'm happy that she's able to show this journey. But I just want people to get the right message, because the wrong message can send the wrong person down the right person down the wrong path. I said that wrong. Because you could be big in this multimillionaire corporation, and God's like, okay, I didn't tell you to go start a hairline. I told you to go out here and preach to the community. Or I told you to use your communication skills to become a therapist, to get people back to me by being a living testimony, to tell them you had a big corporation, but now you're a therapist. You didn't go to therapy school. You didn't study psychiatry. But you have a God that's fighting for you. That's like Mike Todd. This man wanted to be a singer. Come on. He wanted to be a singer. They offered him a record deal. He prayed about it, and the Lord told him no. And he said, what about me? I've been in the background. I've been singing. I've been practicing. This man could play the drums like nobody's business. And look what he's doing. He's a pastor. His wife, you think she thought that she was going to be a first lady? No. Darius Daniel, why she'll tell you all day long. I said I was never going to marry a pastor. What did she do? She married a pastor. I'm telling you, man. So get serious. Like, get serious about what it is that God's telling you, because the more you take it as a joke, and the more that you allow other people to influence your life, and you don't fully seek God on what it is that you're supposed to do, you're not ever going to get on a straight path. And let me tell you, this is something that I struggle with, because the way that other people will run their business, I wanted to do that, and God told me no. I didn't tell you to do that. And I kind of, if you guys want, if I can be honest, I'm honestly thinking about letting go of my design business, because I feel like God is pulling me from that. And He wants me to stick to focusing on podcasting. Why? I don't know. This whole idea was not me. It was a God thing. When I was younger, I used to want to be a lawyer, because I can communicate, I can argue, I can pick out and analyze details. But when I saw the aesthetics of being a lawyer, how could I want to represent somebody, whether they were wrong or right? And in that kind of situation, you don't just get to pick and choose who your clients are. I mean, you can, but how far is that going to get you? But if you have the right guide, you have the right mindset, you can manifest that if that's what He has for you. But God said, no, that's not what I want you to do. I went to high school, studied cosmetology. I never wanted to do hair, but I did it anyway. I'm good at doing hair. I do my hair now all the time. I used to always do my hair, but I just stopped having a passion for it when my dad passed. The other day, I just did some knotless braids in my sister's hair. I didn't even know I could do those. And I literally told myself, I said, maybe I should get my braiding license, because I know how to braid. I can do that with my eyes closed. The first thing I ever learned how to do was under braids, because I'm underhanded. I can do those in my sleep. Then I learned how to do kinky twists. I love the kinky twists. When y'all see my hair done, that's me doing my hair, okay? And I told myself the other day when I did my hair for the setup for the live podcast, I was like, God, why did you make my hands so good? But I can't use them. And like I said, I told myself, maybe I should get my braiding license and start braiding people's hair. And God was like, no, I didn't tell you to do that. And I'm thinking like, but you know how much I could be making right now? Knotless braids. You know how much that gold guy? He's like, yeah, I know. I didn't tell you to do that. And for the longest, I struggled in my design business, because I wanted to make sure that I was able to incorporate God in my business. Because if God is not my CEO, how am I going to make it? And I honestly, to be honest with you, still haven't figured out how that's going to look. And so I'm praying about it. I'm like, God, if you want me to let this business go and focus on podcasting and doing my live events, which I honestly feel like that's what God is pulling me through. You can ask my business accountability partner. I've talked to her about this for months. I talked to my sister about this for months. I feel like God has steered me away from my design business. Even though, you guys, if you've seen my pictures, I think I can decorate really well. I think I do a good job. I actually just redid my whole apartment. But God's like, did I tell you to do that? And the sad part about it is, you guys, if I can be really honest, I'm going to be pissed. Getting registered with Sunbiz, getting a name, getting a website, buying stuff, having these mood board events, that stuff costs money. Can you think, taking the certification class for designing, do you know how much that costs? That's money I can't get back. So imagine how I'm going to feel if God says, I need you to let that go and stick to podcasting. Something that doesn't make you $1 and doesn't, honestly, we being real, it didn't take you $1 to do the things that you're doing either. Because I want you to be able to talk to people and bring them back to me by telling them what I'm doing in your life, telling them how I moved you, telling them how I am the one who knows the plans for your life. That they're not in control, that I am. And what person would I be if I didn't answer that call? I've been avoiding it for far too long. So I really just say, get real, man. Get real with what it is that God is telling you, because He's talking. You just gotta listen. And you can manifest the things that you wish to have in your life if it aligns with what God has for you. I'm telling you, man, I could go on and on about this. Take me as an example. I don't have the things that I want. I don't have the things that I said I would have. I'm 27 years old. I don't have any kids. I'm not married. The relationship that I thought was going to be the relationship, and it still may be. Who knows? I don't know how God's going to work it out. I really feel like that's just dead. But right now, the things that I said I would have, I don't have those. And I prayed about it all the time. I fast about it. Like, Lord, I can't tell you guys how many times I have fast and prayed for my relationship. God, please just help us. Please work on communication. Please, God. Please, literally. Like, I cannot tell you guys. If I can go put out my 10 journals and literally every year the same prayer. But this year we had a different prayer. I was like, God, listen. I ain't asking you to bless it no more. I'm asking you, do you want me to let it go? I prayed about it. We came to each other and I told him, I was like, listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to pray for a week. I don't want you to talk to me. I don't want you to think about me. I want you to pray, and I want you to ask God what it is that He have you do. And you're probably like, oh, the Lord told him to let you go too. No, the Lord didn't say nothing. Like, the Lord didn't say not a thing to me, and not a thing to him according to him. The Lord could have said, let me go to him, but I don't know. He didn't say that. He said that the Lord didn't tell him anything. And that was before I had even said that the Lord hadn't told me anything. So I believed him. I was like, oh, wow, God, like, you're serious. You want me to let this man go? And so I told him, I was like, yeah, I think it's best that we just go our separate ways. And can I be real and say that's been hard? Because I think about this guy every single day. I'm going to be real. I think about him every day because I think about and I analyze our relationship and I wonder, was it me? Did I do the right thing? Did I make the right decision? Did I hear God right? But today it was confirmed that that's insecurities. You have to know that you're worth more. You have to know that God's got your best interest. So like I said, either one or two things are going to happen. God's going to bless me with a better man. And I will have those things that I'm believing God for. And keyword, I said believing God for, not manifesting. And see, oh, thank you, Holy Spirit, because I wasn't even planning on saying that. So there's a difference in manifesting the life you want and believing God for those things. Know the difference. Believe God for something. But don't ask Him to manifest anything. And I really think that will literally open your eyes. Talk to some people. Give us some godly counsel, man, and talk about it. Listen to people when they pray. God, I'm believing you for. Manifesting comes on a different scale. Start looking it up. Manifest means be evidence of proof. So that means that when I have believed God for the things that I'm believing Him for, to you, I'm proof that manifestation is current, it's accurate, it's something that can be done because I have believed in God for these things. To display or show. That's what manifest means. Not to write everything down and just, it's going to poof, come to you like a genie. And I think sometimes we get God mixed up with the genie. He's not a genie. How many of us can sit here and honestly say the things that we've prayed for, the things that we wanted, we don't have them. And sometimes, to be honest with you, we don't even think that we're going to get them. But we do know that we're going to be all right. The person you thought you was going to marry is not the person you married. The person that you have kids with is not the person that you thought he was. You thought he was the person until you had kids with him. Now you realize he's the opposite of the person you want to have kids with. The kids you thought you have, you may not even have any kids. The relationship with your mom you thought you would have, you may not even have that. The moment that you thought that every day of your life your father would be there, and he's not. So don't sit here and tell me that I can manifest the life that I want. I can believe God for it. God can manifest the things that I want. And I can be proof, because that's what manifesting is. I can be proof of what it is that God has done for me. And those examples that I gave you are, some things are for me. I wasn't expecting those things. I know it happens to other people, but God, why does it have to happen to me? Isn't that the mindset that we have sometimes? If we're being real. So, hope I didn't step on a few toes on this episode, but I definitely just want you to look deeper and stop taking people's word for what it is. Be inspired. Let that motivate you to believe God for more than what you have been believing Him for. Start writing down what it is that you want to do. And ask God, is this what you would have me do? I want to have a multi-millionaire business. God, is that what you would have me do? I was listening to an episode the other day by Priscilla Shire, and she talks about this guy. They had a business. Him and his wife had a good business, multi-millionaire business, and the Lord told him to leave his business. He ended up moving, selling his house, moving to another city, working for a nonprofit. And he could no longer afford his house. And he put his house up for sale. And at the nick of time, one of his neighbors came up to him and said, are you selling your house? And he was like, yeah, times are hard, I can't afford it. And the guy said, me and my wife have been looking for a house to buy. Not for now, but for later. Something that we can use and just build on. So the guy bought the house. And he let them stay there rent-free for 2 years. And this message was recorded in 2015, so they could literally still be in that house, because that's just how God works. So don't tell me that you can make the life that you want, because it's not true. You can live the life that God has called you to live. And that's an abundant life. That's a great life when you decide to get there. But it won't be easy. It gets better, but it's not easy. But, yeah, that's this episode. Manifesting. Look it up. Do your research. Google. Read the Bible. Ask God. Pray about it. I definitely, again, hope I didn't step on any toes. I'm not bashing anybody, but I just want you guys to know the truth. And I just want to say thank you for listening in on this episode. I love you guys as always, and I will see you on the next episode. Keep shining as the wonderful gems you are, and I love you. Bye. And I do just want to let you guys know, not to say that you can't walk around and believe God for things, because by believing in God, that is you manifesting that you have faith in God, and by that faith, God will manifest the desires of our heart. If it aligns with what He has for us. Because like I said, I told myself I was not working 3 jobs anymore. I wasn't going to be working penny pitching anymore. And to be honest, you guys, I have worked my behind off. Since I've moved back from Atlanta, I stayed with my best friend for a year, I think, or if that long. And I got my own place now, back on my feet. I have a job that I love, and I wanted to work for Bank of America years ago when I was in Atlanta. I tried and applied. I never got a call back, and then I started getting calls back when I got to Jacksonville. Even though they were calling me back, I still didn't get an interview because coincidentally, the positions kept getting canceled. And then at the right moment, at the right time, this job was sent over to me. I had given up on looking for a job at Bank of America. And out of the blue, one night I was praying about it, and I was like, God, I'm tired of doing this, because I thought the last job that I worked at before Bank of America would be the job that I would retire from. And when my business takes off, I could say, okay, I'm going to be staying here and just building my life. And God was like, no, this was just a story. That job was a testimony for me to believe that at the end of the day, I got your best interest at heart. Because if you go back to a few episodes, I have to find what episode it is, but I talk about how I had 2 interviews at this job. I previously worked for this job before I moved to Atlanta, and I left on great notice. And I came back, applied for the job, had 2 interviews. The first interview was, oh my God, detrimental. I had to go through and listen and find that episode and put it here. And then I had a second interview that same week. Got the job offer right to me on the spot. I had no experience in this job position, but the person that interviewed me saw the potential in me. And when I started, I saw the person that denied me the position in the accounting office. Like I told you guys, I have an accounting background. This person tried to disqualify me where God had already qualified me. And I walked past her every day. And not only did I walk past her every day, but she also had to answer to us. So I love how God works. People are like, oh, God's serious all the time. No, he's not. He has a great sense of humor, because the very thing that somebody tries to cast off into you, God will show up and say, no, you didn't have the qualifications to judge that person and say what they're qualified for or not. And again, I'm going to link that episode, and I'll have to go through and listen because I don't remember which episode it was, but that day for me was terrible. So I got the job, and then I started working there in February. I left in October, and I got the job at Bank of America, and I've been there ever since. I love it, and I have enough money. I make enough money. I can't talk. Oh my God. Nobody but the devil. Every time I get on here, my words just all of a sudden turn to this. But I'm making money that I would be normally making or working 2 jobs that I am in 1 job. I have a great schedule now. I'm able to work on my business, able to record this podcast. So even though this was not in my plans, I was planning on working at Bank of America in 2017 when I moved to Atlanta. And God said, no, you're going to work at Bank of America when I tell you. And the crazy thing about the whole Bank of America thing, I still believe, even though I was getting no's, and I had like a turmoil process with Bank of America when I moved back, I was still believing, because I worked at Haverty's for literally a day, you guys. And I talk about that too. I have to find these episodes because these things you don't know how it's going to impact somebody or how it can make sense later. But I'm glad that I made the decisions to follow and go through with what it is that God has said. And I worked at Haverty's one day right there on Southside Boulevard, by Bank of America. And I was talking to this one lady, and she was like, oh, I've been trying to get on at Bank of America forever. I've never gotten a call back. My son is a VP there. And I was like, you know what? I had that same goal. I said, I wanted to work in there in Atlanta, and I still have faith. I said, this is God putting me here closer, a step closer to Bank of America, to let me know that one day I'm going to be there, because that's what I'm believing. So it's not a fact that I manifested that through my own strength. I believed it, and I never gave up faith. Even though I stopped looking, I still was saying, I'm going to work there when the time is right. And God presented that to me, and it's been a great experience ever since. This is somewhere where I never imagined that I would be, because like I said, in Atlanta, I was like, dang, I can't, like the assessments was too long, or I missed the deadline. It was always something. But God sent it to me. I wasn't even looking, didn't really even have to go through much. I applied for this position, and I got a call back. And my interview, oh my God, I'll have to link the things down. Like, let me tell y'all, don't ever doubt God. So just have faith in what it is that God shows you. Have faith in what it is that you want. You may not get it when you want it, but God will always come through. And sometimes he'll say no to the things that we want because it's not good for us. So whenever God is telling you no, don't ever feel like, oh, God has forsaken me. He has not forsaken you. He's just letting you know that he has your best interest at heart at whatever it is. So I just wanted to add this on here and just give you a little bit of hope, because I don't want you to listen to this and think, oh, she's telling us that nothing's going to happen in our life. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I want you to have a true perspective of what it is that God is able to do in your life. And he's able to do remarkable things. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited to hear about the journeys that you guys have experienced. And again, this is the end of the episode. So I would love to hear about any testimonies or anything, comments that you have regarding this. Don't be afraid to hit me up on Facebook, on an email. My email is linked in on my Facebook and my Instagram. Or on Instagram, if you know me personally, you know how to get in contact with me. But thank you guys for listening. I love you. See you on the next one. I promise this is the end. Bye.